5:14 now on this Thursday morning. In trying to comprehend what happened at Robb Elementary, sometimes it's just natural to compare one tragedy to another.
It's sad that we've had so many tragedies and with so many similarities. A comparison to the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting obviously just became a part of the conversation.
In that December 2012 shooting, a 20-year-old shot and killed 26 people. 20 were children. The attack started with the suspect killing his mother, and he committed suicide after killing the children.
KENS 5's Marvin Hurst interviewed the lead investigator from the Sandy Hook shooting just to give us a perspective of what investigators in Texas are facing. And Marvin, what did you learn?
Yeah, so Daniel Jewis is a retired Connecticut state trooper. We spoke for more than 20 minutes about Sandy Hook and about Robb Elementary School. He says law enforcement there took on their priorities. They stopped the threats, saved lives, and made sure that there were no more threats in the community. Now comes the time where there is careful documentation to find out why Salvador Ramos did this, not for a criminal trial, but for the community. Because that's what he did.
How come it took you a whole year? How come you spent a year to do the Sandy Hook investigation to find out what happened if somebody wasn't going to be charged over it? And there's many different reasons about why law enforcement needs to understand what happened. But actually, the most important reason for us, and this should be at the forefront of everything that they're doing, is what is best for the victims and the victims' families.
Any homicide investigation is already a tough one to deal with.
Correct.
But you're talking about mass victims and you're talking about children. Does that make it even more difficult to carry out?
It's, I don't think there could be a harder workspace than where they are now, dealing with so many different victims, but dealing with victims of that age. And so they are definitely in a place that they have never been before, and a place that it's really hard to get specific training for that. But they have to continue to work their way through it.
So Dan, am I hearing you correctly? Even with all of your years of training and investigating, nothing prepares you for a case like this.
There's absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, a lot of the trainings that we do, even though we have seasoned detectives sitting in those trainings, they still do not have the perspective to be able to fully understand it until they're actually in the middle of it. And then I've heard back from some of them that say, now I understand what you were talking about. But the true magnitude of what they're going through, I don't think there's anything else like it in law enforcement that they could understand that's going to prepare them for that.
What is it about that investigation that you're not prepared to see?
Sure. Well, there's really three main areas there, and it is not to take away from any other events or any other victims of homicide or their families. But these are so different because of the magnitude of them and the microscope that these families and these first responders are going to automatically be under, because the whole world is watching. And because of that, the amount of trauma that can occur afterwards is absolutely magnified, which means our support to those families has got to be at the forefront.
Yeah, so we heard Governor Abbott talk about the pre-existing mental health challenges. That's what the local people told him that is living there in that community. So with this event, we're talking about even more mental strain. So our conversation continues at 5:30 when Daniel Jewis explains why that scene in Uvalde may be contaminated.